Right, hello everybody. I am Dana, and this presentation was put together with the assistance of some of my students, Noha Hassan and Stephanie Benson from Penn State. And we had been talking about kids being home right now and what do you do with kids home so much, and you can't go out, you can't go to the playgrounds. The playgrounds all have caution tape around swing sets and the toys, and you can't get into large groups, and they're not seeing families. And people say, well, have a routine. But what do you do with that routine? What are some ideas of things that you can do with kids when you're stuck at home? So that's what I'm hoping we will address a little bit today through this. Whoops, let me figure out which one's going to actually turn the slide. There we go. So some things you might be seeing right now is a change in sleeping patterns. Some of you or your children might be up all night and sleeping all day, taking a lot more naps than normal, or not sleeping at all. You could be seeing a change in eating patterns, eating different foods, eating more, eating less, a different eating schedule. So eating lunches, dinner, breakfast at different times, or not having an eating schedule at all. There could be toileting issues. You may notice that your children could be reverting, having accidents again. Uh, Children that you thought were toilet trained may need to be put back in diapers or pull-ups temporarily. Having the loss of physical activities at this time of the year. A lot of kids are in sports as the weather gets nicer, enjoying those large social gatherings. Recess. They don't get recess as they typically would. In some families, parents are going to have different schedules so that somebody is always home with the children right now. So the activity level with that is also going to be extremely varied because, again, you can't go out. And depending on who's home and if there's two cars or only one car, sometimes you can't even go for a drive. The lack of having any kind of social outlet, that, not having physical contact. Some kids need that physical contact, uh, missing the social gatherings, missing their friends, uh, which for children on the spectrum, this isn't always something that we notice, but I think you'd be surprised, especially when they're in preschools or therapy centers or schools, that pulling that away, they do miss that interaction. They do miss their friends. Different schedules, again, with the parents and babysitting challenges. Some of the daycares and babysitters are open, some are not. Some are staying home to care for their own children. An entirely new routine may be developed, or there may be no routine at all, or it may be changing day to day. You could see an increase of fear and anxiety and behaviors related to that. And that's because nobody really knows how long this is going to last. And everything seems to be changing daily. Those things I just went over with have nothing to do with an autism diagnosis. We are all in this right now. Those are behaviors and concerns you're going to see across the board. Parents are going to have anxiety and have routine change. Teenagers are going to have socialization issues, missing their friends at school. Children are going to have issues with not being able to go out and play. Everybody is having difficulties right now. So it's not that my child with autism is having difficulties right now, even though the diagnosis may exacerbate it, but everybody is in the same boat right now. We are all having issues trying to deal with the current pandemic. So don't feel alone in that, and don't feel like you have to handle things alone. This is definitely a time that we want to reach out, at least virtually, and be able to get the supports that are out there. So coming back to home, what are some things that we can do in our home for our children? And this is geared more towards our children on the spectrum, but some of these could be used for, any young child in the house. Routine is always important, especially for young children, and routine involves activities that you do in order. This is your sequence of events through the day. Now, the duration of a specific routine may vary, the time you start and stop a routine may vary, but the general steps of a routine tend to stay the same. And one that we're pretty familiar with is the bedtime routine. So for example, for bedtime routine, I might say, hey, time for bed, let's go get our bath. So we get our bath, and then we read a book, then we snuggle and talk a little bit, and then lights out. So that might be our bedtime routine. For somebody else, a bedtime routine might include snack time and a movie, and then go up for a bath, then a story, then lights out. So your bedtime routine with your children is your bedtime routine. But having a routine gives us a way to sequence our day, to have an idea of what comes next. It gives us a sense of first, then. You also want to build in some quiet time to your daily routine. So in that order of events, it's okay to build in a quiet time. Even if your children don't nap, you can still have a quiet time in the afternoon. And that might be a time to just quietly look at books. Or it could be an afternoon movie time. Or an afternoon, this is the time where you need to play or do your work, play with your toys, play your game on your computer or your iPad while mommy and daddy do their work or do their quiet time activity. So that can actually be built right into your routine. Now I am going to show some visuals. Visuals are important, especially if you have children that have difficulty with reading or difficulty with communication. So they can be very useful. So when you're thinking about visual routines, take a moment to think about what do you typically do daily? What does your child typically do daily? What is the routine? How would you segment that? And then either find or take pictures of you and your child or your child doing these activities. And you can put them in order. And you can have several routines. So it's not just one routine for one day, because we know we don't do the exact same thing every single day. We do different things on different days. So have several different options. So you might have a morning routine. You might have a Saturday routine. You might have a Sunday routine. You could have it's a day off school routine, or it's a, hey, parent didn't go to work today routine. So there can be a lot of different options for your routines. But I would recommend thinking about what your routine is, writing down at least 4 or 5 different routines, and then starting to collect pictures for those routines. And whether you take the pictures, find pictures in magazines, create the pictures, draw them, whatever your ability is. We use a sprocket. A sprocket's like a mini Polaroid, and we can take pictures and it prints out little 2x2 pictures. So it works rather well for that. But you can use whatever works for making your pictures for your activity. Here's an example. This is just a cartoon routine. You wake up, you make your bed, you eat breakfast. After breakfast, you brush your teeth. Then you get dressed, you brush your hair, you go to school, and you're at school. And I don't know if you can notice, let me grab my little spotlight here. There's on this container, there's a little plastic rail, so you can also move these pictures around so you can change the routine. So for example, if I get up and make my bed, I get dressed and brush my teeth before I go downstairs. And then I have breakfast. So my routine's a little bit different. So I would have these in a different order. Yeah, someone else might wake up, run downstairs for breakfast, do something else, and then come back upstairs to brush their hair. Maybe they shower in the morning, get dressed, make their bed, brush their teeth, whatever your routine is. But this is a nice example of just a visual. Here's another one, and this just shows you a simple hand washing routine. And then another wake up routine. And you can see these are not real pictures. I would recommend real pictures. These are just cartoon pictures so you can download online and print off. Now with a routine, you can also make a schedule. And schedules are more time-based. They tell us when things are about to happen and when things are over. What you want to watch out for with schedules is that you continue to have flexibility. Because we know right now things are changing daily, so our schedule may need to change daily. So you want to make sure that you have enough time in your schedule for everything that's in your routine, and you want to make sure that you build in enough flexibility that if you need to change the times in your schedule, you can. This was posted on Facebook. It's, let me move this out of the way, the COVID-19 daily schedule that a parent posted just as an idea for parents to get up, morning walk, do some academic time in the morning, creative time, lunch, do some chores after lunch. Then you have that quiet time for about an hour and a half. After the quiet time, some more academic time. Then you get outside for some fresh air, dinner, TV time, and then start getting ready for bed. And I kind of like the second bedtime at 9 o'clock is for all kids who follow the daily schedule and don't fight. If you notice that at the bottom, that's kind of funny. So this is just an example of a schedule. I have not heard of anybody who has actually been able to stick to this. But it at least gives you a little bit of a guide if you're struggling of how to schedule the day. If you're like me and you need something a little more flexible and a little simpler with a schedule, and you can see these routines and schedules really fit together. So we have the routine with what our day would look like and the schedule with the time. So something a little simpler where it just shows the times that things should just about happen or at least start. It doesn't give the end times on the my day. So I get up at 7 and I just need to be at school at 8. So there's that whole hour of getting ready, but it doesn't break it down that small. Might go outside at 5, but be inside by 5:30 for dinner. So this is how schedules and routines can work together. It could be that simple. It could be as simple as a first then. And for some children, you may need to break it down this simple. First, I need to do this, then I can do that. And I got to tell you, some days at work, it needs to be this simple for me as well. First, I need to do this task, then I can do that task. This one is just numbered. So first we do this, second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. And there's our arrival at school routine. Now, yes, that's an arrival at school routine, but you can modify that to be any routine at all. And that's why I said make about 5 different routines. And this helps put stuff in order, helps organize it. So if we have a schedule and we have a routine, yay, great, but what do we put in it? So that's probably the question I get the most. Well, okay, fine. What do I put in my routine? What do I put in my schedule? And this is where you really need to brainstorm. So if you have a piece of paper and a pencil, what you need to do is write down a list of things your child likes, toys your child likes to play with, things your child likes to do, activities. Make another list of things your child can do independently. Or off of that first list, maybe star the things your child can do independently without any assistance. Then I want you to think about things that your child enjoys doing and they can do either with your assistance or with other family members' assistance. It does not always have to be you. So bring in other family members. Remember, reach out, especially if you guys are living together, of course. And you also have to consider, what materials do you have on hand? For example, you can't paint if you don't have painting materials on hand. You can't make slime if you don't have slime making materials on hand. So a little inventory of materials that you have. That way when you prep your routine and prep your schedule for the day, you know what you can do and what you can't do. So take a moment and just outline, brainstorm some ideas. Some ideas that we came up with, and these are throwing things out to you. These are some sensory activities that you could do. Create your own sensory tables. Either using, you can use a baking pan. You can create your own sensory table with a pot and measuring cups and put rice in it, put water in it, put cotton balls in it. If it's going to be messy, maybe you can go to the porch if your porch is enclosed, or, a deck that's fenced in, so that way it doesn't make as much of a mess. If you have a plastic pool, like one of those little plastic pools that go outside, you might be able to create your own ball pit. We used that here for quite some time. We used a plastic pool as our ball pit. You could put maybe 2 inches of water in it and an inch or two of water and a lot of toys. And there you have like a little water play area. You could have shaving cream. That's probably one you're going to want to play with outside. Or do shaving cream on the table. It actually cleans up pretty well. Chalk on sidewalks is always a fun one. And painting with water. A bucket of water and some paintbrushes to paint the walls outside, or paint the house, paint the fence. Paint things with water because it'll show up a different color wet, but then it dries and you don't have a mess. I had one of my students actually takes a hose inside to her faucet so that she can turn warmer water on and fill one of the little pools with warmer water in the cold months, so the kids can have some water play so it's not so cold, or in essence go swimming when it's cold on the back porch. If you have some kinetic sand, or if you can make your own slime, the oobleck I think we made because it is non-toxic with jello, starch, and hot water, I think is all it was. So you can look up non-toxic recipes online. Having a fort in tunnels. Remember how much fun that was when you were little? Crawling through forts and tunnels, hiding, little hidey holes in the living room. Saving boxes, making cardboard houses. Don't forget things like that. Just remember, when you set stuff up for these sensory activities, save time for cleanup as well. Because you don't want to get overloaded because you come into the room or location afterwards and you get overwhelmed due to so much cleanup afterwards. Build in time for physical activity. This is good not just for your physical well-being, but mental well-being. And this is good not just for your child, but for you. One of the students described this as controlling the environment a little bit more and regulating the child's energy. And by kind of overloading with a lot of physical activity, it helps satiate that need or fill that need for physical energy, and it helps calm some children down. So especially before lessons, I would do a lot of physical activity. You can go for walks, follow the leader, again, games in the house, even, marching around the house. There's so many things on YouTube and on the TV. There's exercise on demand. There's yoga. You can have a scavenger hunt. One of the things we did here is we put tiny little M&Ms, the baking M&Ms, in Easter eggs, the plastic Easter eggs, and hid them all over to, teach some of the kids to look for Easter eggs for an Easter egg hunt. And you could do stuff like that at home. That would be a lot of fun. Put little either a fun note or a little snack or a little toy, but that would get the children moving around the house, looking for different Easter eggs or different little containers. Rearranging furniture. If you're going to rearrange furniture or clean under furniture, now is the time to do it. Pushing furniture around is a great physical activity. And then have the kids help clean. That's great. Dance parties, get the music on. It helps practice gross motor skills, helps practice imitation skills. I don't know if you ever played about the floor being lava, where you got to jump from pillow to pillow because the floor is hot lava and you can't touch the floor. Again, great for gross motor skills. When you do get groceries or carrying stuff around the house, have the kids help. Milk jugs with just a little bit of milk, or you can fill them with just a little bit of water in the bottom, and have them carry them around and place them in different places in the house. That's great for their fine motor, helps strengthen their fingers. But brainstorm this. Get physical every single day. Here's some fun yoga poses that kids can do and you can do with your kids. And these are all things that you can pull offline. This is from kidsyogastories.com. The other thing that's highly recommended is somewhere in your house, yard, wherever is need be, create a safe space. Now, this is a space where your child can be, where there's no choking hazards. They don't need you right on top of them. It gives you a breather. So it's a space where your child can play and be safe. And you know that they're safe. And that's okay. So whether it's your fencing yard, whether it's on the couch with the iPad, whether it's their bedroom, a playroom, wherever, I would recommend creating a safe space. Now, it's not that you're sending them to their safe space and you're walking away. You still want to keep eyes on, especially if you have a child on the spectrum or a very young child. You still want to keep eyes on. But the idea of a safe space is it's someplace that your child can have a little more freedom to move. And you don't have to be right there every second, right next to them. But maybe you can have a seat as well, read a little bit, be able to watch a show on your phone or whatever you need to do, as long as you know that that child is there and that they're safe and that they're not going to get into any danger. So this is good for peace of mind. This is also good in the event that you would need to attend to an emergency, or if you have multiple children in the home, if another child gets hurt and your child with autism needs a place to be while you're attending to the other children. So seriously consider a safe, fun space where your child will not get hurt, and where they'll be engaged and have things that they like. Think about independent activities. We talked in the beginning about what can your child do independently. These are things your child can do without you helping, without you guiding every little step. Write these things down. It doesn't matter how small they are. And you could put them in a shoebox, and depending on how old your child is or uh, their interests, they could pick activities out to do. If they can follow a timer, there's a link here for this ducky timer, which is a visual timer. It's an app on your phone, so they might really enjoy that. So you can set the timer and they could watch, and when the duck is 100% and you can see the whole duck again, then they can be done with the activity. But you need to think of things that your child can do 100% on their own. One of the things I used to do with this with older children is create an activity book. And this is a little more in detail, and this takes a little more work. So you have to have a bunch of things that your child can do independently. And I would create a page that would have a picture of the activity, the duration or the picture of a timer, and a list or a picture of the items needed to complete that activity, all on one page. So the child opens the binder, looks at the page, and sees what the activity is, how long they're supposed to do the activity, and the materials needed. And everything would be right there. It's not like they would have to go to another room or anything to get all the materials. They would get the materials out, set the timer to match the timer on the page, and engage in the activity. When the timer goes off, the materials get put away, they turn the page, and there's another activity. And they would do the same thing. Now this starts with just one page, one activity, and you gradually build it as they become more and more successful with completing the activities. So, but that's something that you actually need to teach how to do the activity, how to set the materials. So it is a little more in depth, but if you have older kids, this might be a great project to work on, and it's something that really does help kids kind of stay focused and stay engaged. With one of the kids I did this activity book with before, it was so mom could get dinner ready. And we did enough activities that lasted about a half hour, 45 minutes. And it was just enough time that mom could get dinner ready. And when he was done with his book, then he was able to go back to mom again. You may want to continue some short lessons because we don't want kids to lose their skills. Now we know there's a lot going on with not being in school right now, and some schools are continuing providing lessons, some schools are doing enrichment. I'm even hearing right now of schools in other areas considering ending the year early. So there's a lot, again, up in the air. We don't know what's going on. So as the parent, a lot's being put on your shoulders. You may want to continue just reviewing some of their skills, making sure that they maintain the skills that they have. And I would do that in fun ways. I would try not to get into a like a tugging match over this. Um, you don't want to turn this into a fight. So think of things that the kids again like to do, songs, games, play, and then think of their skills and how do their skills fit in with these games. Um, so you could cover fine motor skills, imitation, interaction, all through different games, all through songs. You could cover some social skills and communication through just various activities throughout the day. You could turn just about any activity into a fun game. You could practice things that the student would do or your child would do at school. Put a little line by the door. We use tape, the colored tape here, and practice lining up at the door. Do you follow the leader? You could do a 15-minute lesson. Make sure your children are still listening to instruction and following some instruction, but keep it light and fairly easy. If the school's offering some online lessons or recorded lessons, I would absolutely watch them. Keep your child in tune with what's happening. Because when we go back to school in the fall, just as all of this has been a huge transition and has been very difficult, the transition back to school is going to also be difficult because they've had a lot of time off. So just be aware of that. Don't be surprised when we see a lot of behaviors that we typically don't see show up. So it's going to be a very different entrance when we go back to school again. Use a variety of methods. Some work at a table, like a school lesson. Some work through play. Some work throughout the house, throughout the yard, anywhere. So you have the opportunity right now to use the entire day and the entire house as a learning opportunity. Don't forget self-help skills. Now is a great time to do self-help skills. You can brush teeth a couple times a day, especially if you're playing with sensory stuff. You can get dressed and undressed, especially when clothes get dirty. And chores, absolutely. You can assign chores, even if it's something as simple as pull the covers up on your bed or put dirty clothes in the basket. It can be that simple. Helping your child learn how to brush their own hair. Take the time to do this. These self-help skills are vital. Here's some online resources. Some nice free apps that parents can use at home. And the last bit here is for you parents and caregivers. Now, I have this as a mom, but it could be a dad, it could be a grandma, it could be an aunt, an uncle, it could be whoever is the primary caregiver. Right now, in these times, we have so much on our shoulders that typically is not on our shoulders. This is a unprecedented time for all of us. This is unique. This is unforeseen. It's unplanned. So there's a lot more on your shoulders than ever before. So you have to give yourself some leeway. If you are not 100%, you're not going to be 100% for your child. You're not going to be 100% for your family, for your home, your job if you're still working. You absolutely have got to find time and recharge. And that may look different now. That's going to look different now. So you may get less time to recharge, but you're going to have to find a way to make the most of it at this point. But you still need to find it. So stop. Take a breath. It is okay. It is frustrating for everybody right now. Everybody is full of anxiety. Nobody knows what the next day is going to bring. Nobody knows what's going to happen. So you're not alone. So it is okay to be scared. It is okay to be anxious. It is okay to be angry. This is a situation that we did not see coming. And this is difficult. Make use of the free resources for parents that are out there. Make time to relax and recharge. If not every day, find at least once a week where you get a chance to recharge, whether it's a bath, and it might not be a half-hour bubble bath, it might be a 15-minute or a 10-minute bubble bath, but at least it's something. Maybe you run home from wherever you're at, if you're still working, and you take a quick nap. Or, who knows? Maybe it's just a 5-minute break. Whatever it is, take it, use it, appreciate it for what it is. Reach out to your friends. We have to stay distance from each other yet, but we don't have to be so isolated. Call people, text them. I would recommend call so you actually hear a voice, or do an online meeting so you actually see a face. And when I used to travel, I would turn on one of our online things, whether it was Zoom or whatever, and I would just sit it in the hotel room so that I could talk to, my ex and the kids while I was traveling. And it would just sit there and we would watch TV together. And we might not talk at all, but we were still together. And then if we wanted to say something like, oh, did you see that? Or I can't believe they did this, at least we could still be connected. So take time to reach out, because everybody is a little stressed right now. Prioritize. Don't feel like everything has to get done today. There are things that you can put off till tomorrow. Make your list. And it might seem like everything is a priority. Look at it again. There are things that might absolutely need done right now, but there's probably a lot of things that don't absolutely need done right now. They can be done tomorrow. They can be done later today. It's okay. Cut yourself some slack. Because the no judgment zone begins with you. You have to allow yourself room to make mistakes. And you have to start by not judging yourself. So absolutely take the time for some personal self-care so that you can be refreshed mentally and physically for your child or children. Because this isn't easy, whether or not your child has autism. This is difficult for everybody. And I know if your child has a diagnosis, it's multiplying the difficulty by 1,000,000. So find ways, be creative to give yourself a little jump start. Tomorrow's a new day. There's going to be days that, yes, you break down, and that is okay. But every day is a new day. Just like, with our kids at the center, if they make a mistake or do something wrong, tomorrow's a new day. Actually, 5 minutes from now, we start again. It's okay. Give yourself some space because you can do this. And I'd recommend every day, because I think a lot of people are also probably a bit prone to depression during this time as well. Make a list of things that you're thankful for every day. List at least 5 things that you're thankful for every day. If you can change your focus, change your thoughts, and you can change your actions. So make a list of at least 5 things that you can do every day that you can be thankful for. Keep your focus there. Try to keep your focus off of the anxiety, things that provoke your anxiety. Some little things that you can do for you. I've had some people suggest make your bed when you get up. That way, when you get home, at least one thing is done. I'm terrible at that. I'm not a bed maker. For me, it's making sure the dishes are in the dishwasher. So when I get home, I don't have to look at dishes on the counter. So find out that one thing that, when you come, that you feel like you've at least accomplished something. And then make sure you're doing it. Find stuff to laugh about. Watch a short video clip. Sometimes I'll scroll Facebook just for silly things. Just some mind-numbing things. Get your mind off things for a little bit. 5-10 seconds, and then that helps you recharge. And then get back to life. Stretch. Don't forget to take care of your body. I think we're sitting a lot more than we were, especially with telehealth and everything that we're doing. So stretch, spend a few moments taking care of your body. We talked about being physical. Well, if you're at a computer most of the day, make sure you are moving. Make sure you're taking time to stand up. Make sure you're taking time to get your blood flowing. Don't be stuck. And you got this. You can do this. And this will be over eventually. This is not going to last forever. This is not the new normal. This too shall pass. We can do this. Think of how far you've come, everything that you have managed to this point. You got this. You can do this. There's some of our references. And I do hope this was at least a little helpful and it gave you some more ideas. Again, good luck, everybody. Please reach out, get support, get help. Keep sending, if you're emailing somebody, calling somebody, keep doing it. Even when people don't answer, agencies don't answer, because everyone's kind of short-staffed and down right now. But don't give up. You got this. You might have to be a little more tenacious than normal, but keep with it. And this will end eventually. We'll get through this. But thank you guys very much. I hope this was at least a little bit helpful. And again, my name's Dana from Garner Behavior Services. We have a little therapy center for children with autism in Lycoming County and Union County. And there's our website and email. And I'd like to thank you all for attending. Good luck, everyone.